Hey friends, welcome back to Hobart's Reviews. My name is Hobart. So control is the new power. That's Apollo's motto for the Phantom V3 2023. But what exactly do they mean by that? Well, Apollo is putting more control into our hands than ever before to make our electric scooter riding experience even better. And it all starts with the brain of the scooter. The most important part of the electric scooter is the controller. And Apollo has designed their very first controller for the Phantom V3, and it's called the Mach 1. Now, the main advantages of the Mach 1 is that they're going to have the freedom to customize anything that they want as the designer of the controller. And that's going to include some of the new features that you're going to see on the Phantom V3, that regen brake, that variable throttle, the app compatibility. So we'll go over the Mach 1 controller, all the new features, and I'm going to take you on a ride and show you them in detail. I'm going to show you how they work. So stick around throughout the entire video. But first, for those of you who are not familiar with the Phantom, I'm going to go over some of the basic specs just so you can get familiar and up to speed, and then we'll talk about the upgrades. Well, the Apollo Phantom has two 1200 watt motors, a 52 volt, 23.4 amp hour battery. It's got a top speed of 41 miles an hour in the new LUDO mode. It's got a range of 40 miles. It takes about 12 hours to charge from empty to full, which is a little long, but we'll talk about that later. And you're gonna have 4 riding modes to choose from, including the new LUDO mode. Mode 1 is gonna get you to a top speed of 15 miles an hour, Mode 2 to 25 miles an hour, and Mode 3 can get you up to that 38 miles an hour. Now, if you get into LUDO mode, it is going to increase the performance slightly all the way throughout your acceleration range, but it's going to get you that extra 3 miles an hour and get you up to 41 miles an hour. Now, the Phantom V3's frame is made from aerospace-grade aluminum, which is going to keep the weight down, but the strength up. This is going to give the Phantom a maximum weight capacity of 300 pounds. Now, the V3 also comes equipped with quad adjustable spring suspension and 10-inch by 3-inch pneumatic street tires, and all that together provides a really nice, smooth ride. Now, every Apollo electric scooter comes with 12-month warranty, which is going to cover any manufacturing defects that you might encounter. Along with their scooters, Apollo's customer service is known to be some of the best in the industry. Well, now that we've gone over some of the basics, let's get into the upgrades that Apollo's given us on the new 2023 version of the Phantom. Well, one of the first things that I want to talk about is the new Mach 1 controller. Apollo has designed their very first in-house controller, or ESC, the electronic speed controller. Now, think of the controller as the brain of the electric scooter. It receives the power from the battery, and then it sends the power to the motors and the other electronic components on the scooter. Now, it also receives inputs from the throttle and the new regen braking, and with the new Phantom V3's motto being "Control is the new power," the Mach 1 controller is a big part of what makes that happen. Now, the new controller allows Apollo to fine-tune the Phantom to have really smooth acceleration and really smooth electronic braking. It also allows you to connect to the Apollo app and other programmable features that Apollo can add to future versions of the Phantom. Well, one of the new features that I really want to show you is the new regen braking throttle. So up until now, you've had regenerative braking, but a lot of the times the OEMs would give you a setting in your app. Maybe you got a strength 1, 2, or 3, and you just kind of had to deal with that strength. It was either on or it was off. Well, Apollo, with the new Mach 1 controller, has been able to fine-tune that regenerative braking so that we don't need a 1, 2, or 3 strength anymore. We can do it all with the power of our thumb. Yes, just like your accelerator, you're now able to do the same thing with your brakes. By giving it a little bit, you're going to get a little bit of regen braking. By flooring it all the way, you're going to get all the regen braking. So it's really cool. For the very first time, Apollo's been able to give us the control over our braking, our electronic braking, by giving us this dedicated throttle. Now, you're able to go into the application and go to the section where you can control the strength of that braking from 0 to 10. I've got mine at 4 right now, and let me tell you, if I go all the way to the ground, I'm going to stop pretty much immediately. So with 4, that's plenty good enough. Maybe you'll want to go to 5. I would probably suggest to stay away from 10, or you might go over the front of the handlebars. But it works extremely well, and it's all thanks to the new Mach 1 controller and this dedicated regen braking throttle. Well, the next upgrade I want to talk about from the V2 to the V3 is the new variable throttle. The Mach 1 controller has allowed Apollo to engineer this new throttle to be just like a gas pedal. The more throttle that you give it, the more power that you get. But at the same time, if you barely want to give it any throttle, even in LUDO mode, and still only go 4 miles an hour, you can do that. Control is the new power. Now this new throttle is very smooth and it doesn't jerk you around when you hit the throttle. You can give it full speed and it's not going to instantly throw you off. And don't get me wrong, it's not like that this thing is slow. It's extremely fast, but it's not that instant on power that makes you have to hold on for dear life and almost fall off the scooter, which is one of the great features that I really like on here. One of the other things that Apollo has upgraded on the Phantom V3 is a completely new screen. The refresh rate is much higher, it's twice as bright, and they've added a few features to it, including the timer so that you can time your rides. You can also go through your different speed modes and the menu by using your power buttons and your menu buttons, which I'm going to show you here in a few minutes. Well, last but not least, with the new Mach 1 controller designed by Apollo, that has given us the ability to connect to the Apollo app. You can get it on iOS or Android. And remember what I said earlier about control is the new power? Well, Apollo has given us the ability to control a lot of things within the app. You can control your throttle strength and the strength of your regen braking, the ability to change into those 4 different speed modes, including LUDO mode. You got ride tracking, navigation, detailed scooter stats, including temperatures and voltages. You can lock your scooter for security. You can turn your headlight and taillight on and off. You can even update the software within the app. Now they've really packed a lot of great features within the Apollo app, and now with the new Mach 1 controller on the V3, we can connect to it, and it's pretty awesome. All right, let's take a look at the new screen here on the V3. This one's a little bit bigger and twice as bright as the V2 per Apollo. Now, taking a look at the real estate and what everything means on here, you've got your speed, which is the biggest thing on there. Your gear or your speed mode, 1, 2, or 3 will show up here. You've got your Bluetooth icon because I'm connected to the app. Your headlight icon will show up right next to it when your headlight is on. Your battery level is here, and then your menu items are here, which you can change. Now, first let me show you how to switch to different speed modes. Over here on the right, you've got your power button. If you click that once, it will change you to speed mode 1, again, speed mode 2, and again, I'm back at speed mode 3. If you want to get in LUDO mode, you're going to click the button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and you'll see LUDO comes up, 1, 2, 3, and you're back to speed mode 3. If you click the power button on the right twice, 1, 2, that's going to turn your headlight on, 1, 2, that'll turn your headlight off. Now, if you want to go into cruise control, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and your little cruise control icon will come up over here. Now, you can control the cruise control in your app, so refer to your app to be able to tell it when it turns on, after how many seconds it turns on, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, and my cruise control will go back off. Now, your menu items over here to the left. Your menu button or your M button over here, you're going to click that once, and that's going to tell me I've got 74 miles on the scooter. Again, 56.7 volts left, 91% battery remaining, 57 minutes I've been out here, and 3.6 miles I've gone so far on this trip. So that is an overview of the cockpit and the new screen here on the Phantom V3. The new throttle, you actually can just push it just a little bit like that. See how I can push it just a little bit? I'm going 5 miles an hour. Watch how much control I have up this hill. I can go up this hill extremely slow with this throttle, and it will get me up there without being jerky, without throwing me off, and now I'm at the top. And the new electronic braking over here on the left allows you to go slowly and control your braking, like going down a hill like this. Watch this. Just give it a little bit of that throttle on that electronic braking, and I'm controlled going down the hill. And I haven't used my hydraulic brakes. You can dial this up or down in the app based on how much regenerative braking you want. Right now I have it at a 4, and if I'm moving and I hit that, I mean, I'm stopping. You see how quick I stop? You can dial it as little as you want, so you can slow down nice and gradually, or you can hit it and stop. and you don't use any of your brake pads. It's all these two thumbs that do all the work. The throttle here, as I was showing you, you can just give it a little bit of input, 5 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour, and I can slowly increase my speed with my thumb. So watch, I'm gonna go ahead and floor it. And while it goes, it's not going and throwing me off. It's not instant full power. You can feel it ramping up. And now if I wanted to hit the regen brakes, boom, just like that. Once again, just a little bit of thumb throttle, and I can gradually increase my speed. Regen brake, I can slow myself down like so. Or if I'm going fast and oh my gosh, there's a car, I can hit that regen brake and it stops me. All right, let's go ahead and do a grass test. I'm gonna use the new variable throttle here and see if we can get up. I'm gonna go as slow as I can up this grass hill. Let's try it. Look at that. Right up the hill, no problem. All right, so let's creep up this thing as slow as we can and see if we can get to the top. I'm going 3-4 miles an hour. Up a hill that's way more than 20-25 degrees, which they're saying the scooter can go up. Creeping up at 4 miles an hour. Watch the control you have going downhill. I can let up, I can slow down. I can let up, I can slow down. Let's go ahead and put her in LUDO mode. 1, 2, 3. LUDO mode engaged. Let's go. All right, back in LUDO mode. Holy crap, that was LUDO. 40 miles an hour, and it was surprisingly stable at that speed. Some of the other scooters I've gotten would have been speed wobbling way before that. And that's another thing that I like about the Apollo. They're so balanced, and so you don't get the speed wobbles that you would normally get. Like, look, I can let go of my hands. I'm 18 miles an hour. I'm not getting the speed wobbles. My other scooters would have been doing this by now, and I would have been falling off. So that's really nice to have a scooter that is so balanced that you can trust it and it can be part of you. LUDO. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the pros and the cons. And I'm gonna start off with the cons first because I wanna end things on a positive note. How about you, yeah? So some of the things that I don't like, the charging time. It takes way too long to charge. It's 12 hours from 0 to 100. Now, I've not gotten it all the way to 0, but what I do is usually get it to around 50% or so the night before. The next day at lunch at noon, I'll put it on charge, and when I get home at 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's still charging. So that's, 5.5, 6 hours later from around 50%, and it's still charging. So it takes very much 12 hours to charge this from 0 to 100. Now, let me caveat that by saying that Apollo is very smart. Apollo is about quality, and I'm sure some very smart person at Apollo has thought, hey, if you charge it a certain way, at a certain speed, at a certain rate, it'll prolong the battery life. But if that's not the case, it takes way too long to charge. The next thing that I don't like about this is that fender back there. So unfortunately, a few days into owning my scooter, I got caught in some rain. I had to sit somewhere for 2 hours in order for the rain to stop, and I had to get home on wet sidewalks and roads. Well, unfortunately, it looks cool, but it does not stop the water from coming through here, through this crack or over the top and getting your shoe and your sock all wet and muddy. By the time I got home, just riding at 5 to 10 miles an hour the whole way, because I was trying to be careful, my sock was wet and muddy because that fender is not stopping the water and the dirt from coming over it. So it looks cool, but can you give us a little bit more so that we don't have wet and muddy socks when we're riding, just in case we get caught in the rain? So that's con number 2. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the pros. And if you are like me and you're the very first time owning one of these, or you're watching this going, should I buy one of those? I hear that they're really good scooters. I hear that they're really great quality and they're built well. Well, as a first-time owner, I'm here to tell you, in my opinion, so far, that's exactly what I've experienced. This is a really well-built electric scooter. Now, I kind of compare it to, and I hate to go off on a tangent here, but my Lexus SUV. When I went to buy this thing a few years ago, I was on a used car lot, not even looking for anything like a Lexus. I never thought I'd own a Lexus, but there was one there and it was in my price range. And after driving it, I was like, wow, this is like something I've never driven before. It's built so well. It's built so solid. Nothing is clinking and clanking when I go over speed bumps. It's just so nice. That's kind of how I equate it to this scooter here. It's kind of on the same level as the Lexus of the electric scooters. When you go over bumps and cracks in the road, there is no clinkety clank. There is nothing that moves or makes noise. Nothing feels like it's going to break. Nothing feels cheap. It feels really well built. So the ride quality and the build quality, all awesome here on the Phantom V3. Now, the next thing that I like about this is that it is an extremely well-balanced scooter. So with some of my other big scooters like this, when you're riding it, it kind of feels heavy. It kind of feels like, you know, you're riding the scooter and it's taking you for a ride. With this, I feel like I'm one with the scooter. I can use my feet and pretty much steer this thing. I can let go of my hands a little bit, even at 25, 30 miles an hour, and I don't have any speed wobbles whatsoever. I can brake with the new regen brake with one hand and scratch my nose at 25 miles an hour, and I'm not scared. The balance that Apollo has put into the Phantom overall is better than anything that I've felt on any other electric scooter that I've ridden. So I really like the balance on the Phantom V3. Now, of course, I got to talk about the new regen braking and the regen throttle, some of my favorite features here on the new Phantom V3. I don't even use my hydraulic brakes. My hands are on my grips, full grip, and I got my thumbs controlling my speed and my brakes, and I absolutely love it. The ability to be able to control that throttle and go 3 or 4 miles an hour. The same thing with the regen brake. If you want to slow down really slow, or if you want to stop real fast, or maybe you want to creep down a hill, you can do that now with the regen braking, because you can give it a little bit of input or you can give it a lot of input. So a huge pro on the new V3 is the new regen braking and throttle, all courtesy of that new Mach 1 controller. Now, the next pro that I want to talk about is how smooth this baby is. It's also really, really quiet. Again, some of my other scooters, you know, the motors are really loud, and when you're riding and it's just making all this noise. Well, when you're riding this baby here with the street tires, the motors that were tuned down with that Mach 1 controller by Apollo, when you're riding, it's almost perfectly silent. Now, yes, when you accelerate, you do hear a little bit of motor noise, but it's nothing compared to any of the other scooters that I own. It's really a quiet and smooth scooter. I think the quad suspension that we have on here also has a big thing to play in the amount of smoothness that we get. I can ride over cracks and bumps in the road, brick pavers, and I'm not like blah, 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 blah. I just feel a little bit of bump, and that's really, really nice. So along with the balance, along with the build quality, the ride is really nice and smooth on the Phantom V3. Well, last but not least, of course, is the new LUDO Mode that Apollo has given us. The Mach 1 controller included gives us 3 extra miles per hour and a little bit of a performance boost throughout that acceleration. Now, I don't find myself riding in LUDO Mode all the time. I'm in Speed Mode 3 most of the time, because that still gives you really good acceleration for what I'm riding and what I need, and a top speed of 38 miles an hour. But I have found myself going into LUDO Mode when I want to get a little Ludo, and it does give you that extra boost in acceleration off the line, and throughout without the acceleration curve, and then that extra 3 miles an hour at the top to 41 miles an hour. So the new LUDO Mode, while I don't use it all the time, is still pretty cool to have and definitely a great upgrade to the Phantom V3. Well, that's all the time that I've got for you today, my friends. My name is Hobart. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully I was able to give you a good idea of the overall view of the specs of the Phantom and, of course, the new upgrades that Apollo has given the new V3. For those of you who are getting ready to buy a scooter and are thinking, man, should I get one of these things? I'd say absolutely. It is the nicest scooter I've ever ridden. It's my new favorite scooter, and I'm going to ride it all the time. For those of you who have a V2 or a V1 that want to upgrade to the V3, is it worth it? I would say based on the regen brake and the throttle alone, that is a huge fat yes. The control that you have now is absolutely incredible. So if you're looking to upgrade, I would say go ahead and do that as well. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description for both of those options. If you want to go ahead and buy them, it is an affiliate link that does help out my channel, but it does not cost you any more. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and leave them down below, and I promise I will answer them to my very best ability. And if you like what I'm doing, hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that bell so next time I come out with a video, you will be notified. Well, thanks friends. I really do appreciate you joining me. Have a great rest of your day and happy riding.